You want to know about fantasy football sleepers? And that's why you're watching this video. This is Detroit Sports World Talk. Let's get to it. First things first, I'm going to cover running back. The position that is so hard to get later on. Injuries happen at this position. You may have to replace, go into free agency when it comes to getting a good back. You might not have to if you draft well. Ameer Abdullah. He had a bad rookie season. Horrible fumbles, couldn't hold on to the ball. Could barely get over 30 yards, but has mad potential. He has a better, improved offensive line. He should do decent, if not great, this year. I know that's a bold prediction, but especially coming from a guy who's also a fan of the Lions, but I'm predicting that Ameer Abdullah will step up and do what he's supposed to do. Another guy that comes into mind is Duke Johnson. Was a rookie last year. Grab him, especially in a PPR league. You should be able to get him in 8th or 9th round, or maybe even later, especially with everybody grabbing other players. They may not even think of this guy. DeAngelo Williams. I'm saying DeAngelo Williams because, well, Le'Veon Bell may get more than a 4-game suspension. So you might want to look at DeAngelo Williams, who we already know what he can do. You might be able to pick him up in the later round. Matt Jones. Matt Jones in a PPR league can blow it up. Now he finally has a chance to blow it up. Put up or shut up. Alfred Morris is gone now. He's with Dallas. Now, Matt Jones has no choice but to take over the throne at that position. Chris Sims, in a PPR league, he's always done decent. With Doug Martin, he had a great season last year. However, Charles Sims has been there, and he can potentially take his spot. Watch out for that guy. He may be a ticket to your fantasy football team. Jeremy Langford. That guy did pretty good last year, especially with Matt Forte being a little bit banged up. However, the guy that's right behind him is Jordan Howard. He's going to be a rookie this year. They're saying this guy is supposed to be, if not decent or better than Jeremy Langford. Look to snag him if you're in a deep league. Latavius Murray. Obviously, we know that he's a top 10, if not top 15 pick in fantasy football. I'm not saying he's a sleeper. I'm saying to grab his backup. DeAndre Washington. He's a rookie. They're saying that this guy is supposed to explode this year, just even being a backup running back. Grab him, especially if you're in a deep league. Now, let's go to wide receiver. A guy that I really, really like. Last year, he was a number 3 receiver for the Colts. He blew it up last year. He should have been the number 2 receiver last year, but obviously Andre Johnson at the time had that, and then you had T.Y. Hilton. But this guy has proved himself. Dante Moncrief. Grab him. He's a fantasy football sleeper. Killed it in touchdowns, killed it in receptions. Just being a rookie with that team, grab Dante Moncrief. That's like my top sleeper wide receiver for this coming up draft. Dante Moncrief. Hands down, stud. He can put up numbers. Grab him. I'm going to grab him. Another guy that I like. I kind of call him, and he's a rookie this year for Cleveland. Corey Coleman. To me, this guy is like a junior Steve Smith. And I know that's kind of not good to say because, I mean, honestly, Steve Smith is a dog receiver, but Corey Coleman, I think he could be a good receiver if RG3 can get him the ball. We don't know what RG3 is going to do. RG3 finally has weapons. So I would take a risk on getting Corey Coleman, especially with, honestly, Josh Gordon. He's going to be gone for 4 games. So he should be, if not number 1, number 2 option on that team. Grab him. He's a fantasy football sleeper. Another guy that comes to mind, Sterling Shepard out of New York Giants. He's a stud. Awesome. He did well in college. He's a rookie this year. You should be able to grab him in a deep league. You have Cruz there. He's supposed to be healthy. You have, obviously, Odell Beckham. But we don't know how Victor Cruz is going to do. Grab Sterling Shepard. He may be the number 2 option on that team. He's a sleeper. Another guy that comes into mind, Sammy Coates. Martavis Bryant is gone. Hear me. He's gone for the whole season. The only option really on that receiving end for Pittsburgh is Antonio Brown and Marcus Wheaton. They're saying that this guy might even be better than Marcus Wheaton. Grab Sammy Coates. He could be a fantasy sleeper for your team. Another guy that comes into mind, he kind of struggled last year. He was supposed to step up and become the number 2 option on that team, especially with Jordy Nelson being hurt. For the Green Bay Packers, Davante Adams, you should be able to grab him in a later round. I still think that this guy can prove himself to be a good receiver, especially with a guy like Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. Grab him. He's a sleeper. And another guy that comes into mind, and he's going to have a quarterback, top 5 quarterback thrown to him, is Chris Hogan. Grab him. He's a fantasy sleeper. He may take targets away from Amendola and Edelman. Grab him. Those 2 receivers have history of injuries. Grab Chris Hogan. Trust me on that. For my tight ends, Zach Miller pretty much ran a Martell Bennett spot. Now he's with the Patriots. Zach Miller out of Chicago is a good tight end. Grab him. He should be available in the later round. He's a fantasy sleeper. And he should put up numbers. Now, a lot of guys may think that this is a dumb sleeper, but I'm going to say it. Eric Ebron. He was supposed to step up last year, I know. Dude couldn't catch the ball. Look, he's probably one of the most athletic players at that position. And now he finally has a chance to step up, especially with Calvin Johnson retiring and then them putting in new players on that offense. I know he just got out of he just had an injury, a right ankle sprain, big time right ankle sprain. However, that may not be an issue. Grab him. He's a sleeper. He may be a top tight end. We don't know that yet, but to me, he's still a sleeper. A lot of people aren't even mentioning this guy's name, Josh Hill. Guess who's throwing him the ball? Guess who's throwing him the ball? Drew Brees. Drew Brees loves his tight ends. Loves his tight ends. And look, he's going to be the starter for the Saints. Draft Josh Hill. Nobody's even thinking about this guy. Josh Hill should be a steal in a 9th, 10th round even for your tight end spot. And then last but not least, I like this guy, Ryan Griffin. A guy like Brock Osweiler may be able to get him the ball. We just have to wait and see. But I think he's a fantasy sleeper. Let's go to my quarterbacks. Marcus Mariota. He's got weapons finally. Andre Johnson, Henry, and DeMarco Murray. Good names that ring a bell. However, we don't know how it's going to pan out, but we know that he's a good quarterback. Oh, and I failed to mention Delanie Walker, who's a top 10 tight end. He's got weapons now. You may be able to get Marcus Mariota probably in the 7th round. maybe 6th round. Be smart, draft him. Wait to draft him. Be smart to draft him around that time. Matthew Stafford, you may be able to get him in those rounds too. But if you haven't drafted a quarterback and you're 9-10 rounds deep, you should probably look at getting Robert Griffin III or Ryan Fitzpatrick. Those are good quarterbacks with good weapons. They got something to prove this year too. So with that being said, you're listening to Detroit Sports World Talk. You can follow me on Twitter, DET Sports World. That's DET Sports World. Hey, I hope your team does well. Have a good one.